All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order, the Andover City Council meeting on February 11th, 2020. We'll start with roll call on my left.
Homer, City Council.
Mike Warrington, City Council.
Shelby Carcelari, City Council.
Ronnie Price, Mayor.
Troy Tabor, City Council.
Greg Schneider, City Council.
Tim Berry, City Council.
Bob Buchanan, Andover Police Department.
Donna Davis, Chief Financial Officer.
Chad Russell, Fire Chief.
Lance Onsta, Assistant City Administrator.
JT Klaus, City Attorney.
Les Mangus, Director of Community Development.
Susan Renner, City Clerk.
Jennifer McCausland, City Administrator.
Okay, next we'll do invocation. Tonight we have Pastor Rick Neubauer of Augusta First Baptist Church to provide. Did I say that correctly?
On behalf of all the chaplains that serve police and fire and KMC, we thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. And with that, let's pray. Well, Heavenly Father, we love you. We thank you for the opportunity tonight to gather as your people. We thank you that we can come and share our voices and our concerns with those that we've elected to lead. Pray that you would give us all wisdom and discernment, grace and compassion to deal with one another. And especially tonight as we come to honor those who serve, we pray that you would bless our time together in a mighty way. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. All right, at this time I'd ask you all to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. This is the part of the agenda where I'd like to, where anyone would like to address the City Council about any topic may do so by now stepping up to the podium. And if you do, please state your name and address.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Ken Church. I live at 133 North Douglas Circle here in Andover, Kansas. That's on the golf course. I live between number 4 green and number 5 tee box. We've lived there since 2004, and we've really enjoyed it. I'm here tonight because our ringleader in our effort to try to keep the golf course open, Lavana Schlajek, is on a vacation, and she's not here, so I got stuck with being the spokesman. Not real crazy about it, but we'll see what we can do. First of all, as far as Mayor Price and the new council men and women, congratulations on your elections and appointments. We really appreciate your service, and for the councilmen that have already been here, after coming to these meetings and talking to you and watching the process, we really appreciate your service to the city. It's, I don't know why you do it, but thank you. My wife and I moved here. The reason we moved into Andover was because there was a golf course. We lived on a golf course in Texas. We'd grown up in this area, but when we come back, we located here because of the golf course. We had memberships with Bob Barr when he had it, and we had a membership with Chad Stern in that group. Eventually I worked for Chad, so at the end I didn't have a membership. But we always did support the golf course, and we encouraged our neighbors to do the same. And hopefully in the future we'll see more of that. We're golfers, so it's easy for us to encourage others to do that. So that little golf course, we've golfed all over. That little golf course is really friendly. It's user-friendly. Seniors, they just love it. Beginners, they love it. It's a nice short course, and it's fun to play. Easy to walk. We have a lot of people working there that come in. I just look at them, I know it's a senior walking nine. Them guys, the seniors walk more than the young people do these days. The young people use a cart. So, I just want to say I know you're going to vote tonight on this proposal that we've seen online. And we're hoping that you vote in the affirmative to keep the course open. You're going to meet the new operators here. I just met them myself. And I will remind you that your lady from Foster Design and Associates, when she read the results of the December 9th meeting, and by the way, thank you for allowing us to have that meeting and the other, letting us come to your workshops at the up at the lodge. You've been really open with us. But that when that lady put up her results, she said at the end of the day, after that December 9th meeting, the bottom line is that people want to keep the golf course. The neighbors want to keep the golf course. You're going to have some good neighbors because they've all been up here talking and they all want to be neighbors of a golf course. And if somebody comes in and operates it, I guarantee you the neighborhood is going to support them. So I appreciate your time. And again, thank you all for your service.
Thank you, sir.
One more thing. While I got a chance, having lived in Andover and other cities, I got to tell you that your police and fire department here are second to none. They're the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else?
My name's Mark Malinoskis, 523 West 2nd Street in Andover. I didn't know you were voting on the golf course, and this is my first time to attend, but that golf course means a lot to me. My two sons learned to golf on that course, and I will tell you from a parent standpoint, you can't have your children learn how to play golf anywhere else in Wichita or Andover for the price you paid at Andover Municipal and before that, Cedar Pines. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chastity Page. I'm actually here in the capacity for the HR director of the city of Andover, and I'm going to kind of hijack a little bit. Typically, this is something that we would have on the agenda beforehand. However, Jenny sees the agenda beforehand, and they would kind of run the surprise. So, the Wichita Business Journal does a series of publications called Women Who Lead. And they recognize women in various fields who offer guidance and learning to others, as well as helping them move along their journeys, both personally and professionally. Back in January, we received notice that our very own city administrator, Jennifer McCausland, had been nominated for the Wichita Business Journal's Women Who Lead in Public Service. Jenny was one of 22 women in the metro area recognized as leaders within the field of public service. Other nominees held roles such as city attorney, director of libraries, vice mayor, county commissioner, school administrators, and school personnel. Jenny is active in the Women in Public Service organization, which provides educational and networking opportunities to women in public service careers and is critical to the success of women, especially in typical male professions. Having worked under Jenny for 3 years now, I have been fortunate to be able to experience firsthand encouragement and guidance from her and can attest that she is more than deserving of this award. The article in recognition was published back in January. Jenny, I know we kind of congratulated you in that edition of the article, or of the paper, but we were holding off on the formal congratulations because we were waiting for the award to come in, and it did yesterday. So, Jenny. Don't fire me. Thank you for being such a terrific leader, not only in our community and to our staff, but to other women in public service in the neighboring communities.
All I have to say is she's going to be in trouble tomorrow, but thank you right now. I will say I do love what I do, and I love working with the staff here at City of Andover. It makes it very easy and extremely pleasurable to get to come do this every day. So despite being very embarrassed and unhappy with this moment in time, I love my position, and I wouldn't want to do anything else. Thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to move to accept the agenda as presented or add any modifications requested at the time of meeting.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All in, I'm sorry. 6-0, right? All right, and now we'd like to, here, I'll turn this doodad on. And Jenny, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No, sir, and I think we do have awards tonight, so we could move on to have Captain Buchanan come to the podium.
Mayor Price, City Council, I'm Captain Joe Schroeder with the Police Department. It's my honor today to present to you the Officer of the Year for 2019. Could I get Lieutenant Damon Cundiff to join me up here, please? The Officer of the Year is awarded annually to a sworn member of the department whose overall performance for the prior year has contributed substantially to the mission of the department and whose conduct has demonstrated the core values of the department. This award is presented in the form of a plaque, ribbon bar, and certificate. All subsequent awards will be presented in the form of an oak leaf cluster and certificate. Lieutenant Cundiff was nominated by Ms. Jessica Smith, our accreditation manager. She says, Lieutenant Cundiff has performed his assigned duties with expertise he has gained over the years as a sworn law enforcement officer and has stepped up to cover manpower shortages to ensure the efficient operations of not only his assigned section, but the entire department. This past year, Lieutenant Cundiff had to give up one detective position due to short staffing on the streets. During that time, he worked alongside one of his remaining detectives to ensure continuity of casework and proper coverage of caseload. Lieutenant Cundiff was aware of his remaining detective was working hard to clear a backlog of cases that had built up over time. He chose to assign a majority of the cases to himself to allow that detective the opportunity to catch up and spend quality time needed to properly handle cases. From June 1st, 2019 to December 22nd, 2019, Lieutenant Cundiff assigned himself 14 felony cases, 13 misdemeanor cases, and 1 documentation case to follow up. In addition to handling a large caseload, he has worked to ensure the department goals were met and worked hard to maintain a strong relationship with the Andover Chamber of Commerce despite the workload increase. Lieutenant Cundiff spent several hours this past year working to ensure officers were properly trained in firearms, taser, and interview skills by conducting classes and overseeing the department's firearms qualifications. Lieutenant Cundiff assisted his lone detective in coordinating a crime prevention course for the Chamber of Commerce, as well as provide coverage to allow her to continue the scheduled training courses. Lieutenant Cundiff takes great pride in this department and works to establish a strong relationship with the patrol section. He's taken time to answer officers' questions about investigations and provide support to them, encouraging them to do as much follow-up as possible during their own investigations. Other officers in the department feel at ease speaking to Lieutenant Cundiff about investigations as well as general law enforcement questions. He always makes himself available to officers day and night, both on and off duty. Lieutenant Cundiff is a great example of a dedicated and determined officer who strives to display the department's values of compassion, integrity, and commitment. This sets the bar high for other officers to live on based on our organizational values. It is my belief that he is the most deserving officer in this agency for the 2019 Sworn Officer of the Year. Therefore, for his actions, efforts, and attitude demonstrated on a daily basis during the past 12 months, as nominated by Jessica Smith, recommended by the awards board, and approved by the Chief of Police, Lieutenant Damon Cundiff is hereby awarded the 2019 Officer of the Year Award with one Oak Leaf cluster because he has earned the award before.
Okay, you can tell Captain Schroeder and I are tag teaming on this one. We'd had to decide who was going to do this tonight. We did rock, papers, and scissors, and we kept getting equal, so we get to tag team. So tonight I want to be able to present to you the Civilian Employee of the Year Award. This award is annually given to a civilian member of the department whose overall performance for the prior years has contributed substantially to the mission of the department, whose conduct has demonstrated the core values of the department. This award presented in the form of a plaque and certificate. Captain Schroeder wrote, this is why I'm doing this, because I didn't want him to say I wrote, Mrs. Tapia has distinguished herself during the year in not only the performance of her duties, but in the dedication of the department service provided to support officers daily. Ms. Tapia has performed her assigned duties with expertise she has gained over the years as a communication officer, as well as a level-headed supervisor who has had to deal with the short staffing issues. During 2019, Ms. Tapia has worked diligently to prepare the emergency communications section for assessment to become the first CLIA accredited communication center in Kansas. This has required hours upon hours of research, writing policy, developing operation plans, and working closely with other staff to ensure the production of proofs to satisfy the assessment team and CLIA requirements. When there was an issue with the version of CLIA that was originally assigned being out of date, Ms. Tapia spent her entire weekend working in order to ensure the work was being accomplished. In addition, Ms. Tapia has worked the dispatch console on several occasions in order to make up for the short staffing issues. She spent most of the month in November working 12-hour shifts, dispatching, in addition to her daily duties as of the supervisor, managing the department's record section, and property and evidence. Not to mention the numerous requests she gets daily from staff and other city department for follow-up and data requests, as well as working to hire new dispatchers to fill vacant positions. Ms. Tapia is a great example of a dedicated and determined employee. In my opinion, she is a great choice for Civilian of the Year. Therefore, for her actions, efforts, and attitude demonstrated on a daily basis during the past 12 months, is nominated by Captain Schroeder, recommended by the awards board, and approved by the Chief of Police, Emergency Communication Director Becky Tapia, is awarded the 2019 Civilian of the Year Award.
And it's my turn again. If I could get Sergeant Troy Snedeker to join me up at the podium. The next two awards are our Life-Saving Award. These are conferred upon any member of the department whose actions directly contribute to saving or significantly prolonging some quality of human life. This award is presented as a ribbon bar and for certificate for sworn members. Okay. On November 12, 2019, Andover emergency units were dispatched to 661 Parallel Drive in Andover, Kansas on the report of a 47-year-old man who was not breathing and unresponsive. Sergeant Snedeker responded to the call and arrived before EMS. Sergeant Snedeker immediately started doing approximately 200 chest compressions on the patient for approximately 4 minutes until fire and EMS arrived. Chest compressions and advanced life-saving measures continued for 8 cycles until the patient's heart resumed beating and he started breathing by himself. The patient was transported to the hospital where he remained in serious condition but stable. Andover Fire Chief Russell stated, "From my understanding of the situation, Sergeant Snedeker's actions were very valuable in the potential positive outcome of this patient. When Captain Matson arrived, Sergeant Snedeker was already performing chest compressions. The value of early chest compressions simply cannot be overstated in return to spontaneous circulation. I have no doubt that Sergeant Snedeker contributed to the return of circulation and increased the patient's chances of survival. Therefore, having met the requirements of General Order M1218, as recommended by the Awards Board and approved by the Chief of Police, Sergeant Troy R. Snedeker is authorized to receive and wear the Department's Life-Saving Award with one Oak Leaf cluster, again because he has been awarded this in the past.
Okay, the next one's going to go to Sergeant Arnold. Come on up here, Jason. It's another life-saving award. It's to be determined upon any member of the department whose actions directly contribute to saving or significantly prolonging some quality of human life. So on November 22nd, 2019, Sergeant Jason Arnold responded to 2331 North Grand Road outside the city limits of Andover for a patient who was not breathing and had no pulse. Sergeant Arnold entered the residence and began chest compressions on the patient who had overdosed on a possibly known substance. Sergeant Arnold continued providing much-needed CPR until he was relieved by the Andover Fire and Butler County EMS personnel. EMS crew personnel were able to administer Narcan to the patient, stopping the overdose. Lieutenant Kevin Keichler with the Andover Sheriff's Office stated, "Without the timely arrival and actions of Sergeant Arnold, I do not feel the patient would have survived until EMS arrived at the residence. Sergeant Arnold's actions represent the highest value in the law enforcement profession." Therefore, having met the requirements of General Order M1218 as recommended by the Awards Board and approved by the Chief of Police, Sergeant Jason Arnold is authorized to receive and wear the Department's Life-Saving Award.
Next, we'd like to invite Becky Wolf to the podium to present the annual update for Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening. I'm Becky Wolf, and I'm the President and CEO of the Andover Area Chamber of Commerce, 1951 North Andover Road. I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to come up here this evening. Each year I like to come before the council and say a little bit about what we do as a chamber for the last year. But since we have a new council, pretty much, I want to give you a little bit of highlight of who we are. The Andover Area Chamber of Commerce is a 501c6 nonprofit organization. We're not a charitable organization, but we're a business association organization. We are governed by a 15-member voting board, and in which Troy Tabor is one of the voting members on our board. And we have one full-time employee, myself, and one part-time employee, Holly Hart. And that's who runs the chamber, is the board and the staff. The chamber experiences between 7 to 10 visitors each week into the chamber. Those visitors could be prospective businesses, they could be members, they could be visitors to the community, just a whole gamut. Sometimes we have to play Google and we have to give people phone numbers and addresses and that kind of thing. Sometimes they think we're the city and they call us and want city information. So we've got Jenny's number, Lance's number, everybody's number on speed dial. So on average, the chamber answers over 100 phone calls a month. So that's a lot of phone calls that we get in. Now, it could pertain, again, playing Google. We get a lot of those. We also get a lot of Andover, Massachusetts. People want Andover, Massachusetts. So that's always an interesting call. Our office helps with community events such as the concerts by finding volunteers. We also help with, I volunteered with seating people last year, and we also hand out flyers. We go out to the local businesses and give out the flyers. We help with the Police and Fire Festival, Hometown Christmas, Greater Andover Days, and those events provide us the ability to be great community partners, and that's what we want to be as a chamber. We partner with the police department to welcome new residents to Andover by creating welcome packets. The local businesses are able to put their flyers and information into welcome packets, and the police department delivers those for us, and we really appreciate that. We also assist with interviews for new hires for the police department, and we have been involved with the CALIA accreditation as well. We have a committee called the Business Support and Development Committee. That committee brings in businesses, members into our committee one-on-one so we can find out what their future plans are, what their challenges are, what they want to do, and what resources the chamber can help provide for them, or the city. Jenny and Lance both sit on that committee, so we appreciate that very much. Our board and committees are working hard on the 3-year strategic plan right now in the chamber, and we will be rolling that out pretty soon. So hopefully you'll take a look at that and see what we're up to for the next 3 years. Our chamber partners with 13 other chambers in the region, along with the Wichita Chamber, on the legislative agenda, and we are going to be going up to the legislative reception in Topeka on the 18th. And the chamber has provided substantial investment in training me, my position, to go to the U.S. Chamber Institute for Organizational Management. And this provides me the opportunity to bring back things to Andover that other communities are doing through the chamber. It's a week-long training, and I have to commit for 4 years. So I'm on my 3rd year. June will be my 3rd year. It's kind of like a chamber college if you think it's a chamber college. You get a certification once you're complete. Our chamber is also involved in the Chamber of Commerce Executives of Kansas, in which I am now the current president of that organization. And it is an investment to be a part of these organizations, but it helps put Andover on the map. We are a part of a bigger thing, and that's always important, I feel. Both of these provide training and resources, and it gets our community noticed. You should have received a couple of papers in your packets. One of them is our year in review, and then we have the membership tiers. These are the benefits our members get. And if you look at all these benefits that they are able to get and realize that there's a staff of 1.5 that provide these benefits for the chamber members. So we do a lot in the chamber arena to make that happen. Every member receives the benefits for the tier that they choose. We feel like it's not a one-size-fit-all chamber, so a member can choose what tier that they want to come in based on the benefits that they want to receive. We appreciate the partnership we have with the city, and we hope that it's mutually beneficial. Thank you very much, and I would answer any questions you might have.
Becky, when is the next big thing that's happening from the chamber? When is that and where?
The next big thing is our cornhole tournament, and we are. Shane's over there. Shane thought he was here to present. Shane thought he was here to present on behalf of the cornhole tonight. So we're gonna do that in the next month or so.
No, I have it here. I was just wanting you to promote it.
Yeah, May 8th is our cornhole tournament, and we want to hold it at 13th Street Park. So we've got it reserved, and we will probably be coming before you for a request here shortly. So that's our next big thing. Any other questions? Thank you for allowing me to come up here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda, items 9.1 through 9.7 as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? A motion was made by 6-0 to approve the agenda. And we'll move on to 10-1 zoning case, 822 North Andover Road. I need to put my glasses on because I'm old dude, right? I now call agenda item 10-1 zoning case number Z-2020-01. This is an application to change the zoning district classification from the B2 Neighborhood Business District to a B3 Retail and Service Business District on property located at 822 North Andover Road. Before we proceed with the hearing, I'll ask the council if they have, if any of them intend to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because of conflict of interest.
No.
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 Oh, shoot. Has the city clerk received any protest petitions on this case? I now ask the city council members if they have all received copies of the draft minutes of the Planning Commission for January 21, 2020, which summarized the hearing on the case.
Yes.
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 I now call on City Zoning Administrator Les E. Mangus to provide us with a report on this case.
At the January meeting of the Planning Commission held the required public hearing on this change from the B2 Neighborhood Business District to the B3 Retail and Service Business District. This is an effort to expand the floor area limitation to accommodate the expansion of an existing business. We always like to hear that. Planning Commission held the hearing and recommends the change with an arterial transition overlay that limits the uses on the property to those that are allowed in the B2 Neighborhood Business District, because they felt that some of the uses in the B3 just weren't compatible with the adjacent single-family residences.
Are there any questions from the questions to the zoning administrator from council members?
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question. Les, were there any protests or objections at the planning meeting?
No, there weren't.
Thank you, sir.
All good. Does the applicant wish to present any new information?
Good evening. Phil Meyer with Boffman Company, agent for the applicant. I have no new information I need to present to you, but I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
All right. Are there any questions from, are there any questions to the applicant from council members or city staff?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone from the public wish to respond to the applicant's information or provide any new information? Please come to the podium, state your name and address. Assuming the council has received all the information they need on this case, you have received an outline of the choices provided under the state statutes for council action, KSA 12-757C. How do you wish to act?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt an ordinance to accept the Planning Commission's findings of fact and recommendation for approval for zoning case Z-2020-01 and approve an ordinance changing the zoning district classification from the B2 Neighborhood Business District to the B3 Retail and Service Business District with an arterial transition overlay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we moved, council moved to accept to a B3 and 6-0, so we'll move on. Neighborhood Parks, 11-1, Village Park Swing Set Replacement. Daniel?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. On item 11.1, we are looking for your approval to make a purchase for a replacement swing set structure at the Village Neighborhood Park. It's a part of our capital improvement projects in the Parks Department. We've received a couple of quotes from manufacturers that we've done business with previously, and we have equipment with at various properties around the city. On those quotes, you'll see they include parts, safety surfacing, and installation, as our staff have already removed the old structure from the site. The new structure we are recommending purchasing will maintain the capacity, the swing capacity that we had in the old structure, plus an additional 2 swings for toddler age. We also would like to recommend going with the more modern frame style that you'll see at our Andover Central Park and at the Cornerstone Park, which is a 5-inch diameter arch style instead of the tripod A-frame type end. And I'd be happy to answer any of the questions you have about it, or the project in particular, or the site, if you have any.
Daniel, I do have a question.
Yep.
Does the frame type in any way make it safer rather than not?
No, it affects some of the cost, as you'll see in some of those quotes, but they all meet the same safety requirements, and quite frankly, with swings and most play structures, maintaining the required clearances to other structures, maintaining the safety surfacing, and all of the hardware are going to be fundamental to the safety of that piece.
Thank you.
Yeah. Homer, were you asking that question because it's $4,000 more than the cheapest?
In between the 3 bids, there's a $4,000 difference there, so I just wanted to know essentially why.
I would ask the question, why are you going for the $16,000 model instead of the $12,000 model if it's actually the same safety and amount of area it takes? And purely cosmetic at this point to match some of our more modern pieces that we have in other spaces. We can reevaluate, or you could choose a different option for sure.
I'd like to piggyback that question with the playground mulch that I believe are the same on all 3 options here. Is that the standard wood mulch?
You have many options with playground safety surfacing. Wood mulch is in the industry referred to as EWF, which is engineered wood fiber.
Uh-huh.
It's not your average wood mulch that you go and buy. It's rated and tested. Typically, that is the cheapest option and put in most places. The amount of mulch that you put in is directly related to the fall protection that's needed from the structure you're putting in. And in swings, these are all 8-foot high swings that are calculated from the cross beam. So you have a fall height for a certain type of structure in a certain play space, and then you're required to put in so much surfacing for safety underneath. You also have pour-in-place rubber, which is far more expensive. The Director of Public Works and I have looked into in the past, and it's many, many times the cost. And we have loose rubber chip, which is another option, which we did install at Cornerstone Playground late in 2019, sort of as a pilot, if you can say. It's an industry-approved material, but we haven't had it in we haven't had it in any places before now. So we've asked the quotes here to include that as a package turnkey deal. I do know that these manufacturers and vendors will a la carte these items out. If you wish to see maybe park staff take on a portion of that role to potentially reduce cost, but that, I don't know if I have for sure numbers on that to guarantee that to you right now.
Daniel, in my former life of engineering, I've done several playgrounds, and I think the 5-inch arch frame is the standard in a lot of playgrounds, and we have those around here. I've looked at this, and I think it's a good option.
So Mike, you're going the 16,000? Is that the one you were looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
It's an appropriate. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It's when you go around and look at playgrounds, you can't just go chimsy on a playground because there's kids involved here. And even that some of these that I had done back, 10 plus years ago, it was the arch frame that was the best choice.
As far as that goes with, the word of chintzy, is it EEW you said?
EWF is the
EWF
for engineered
versus the rubber chip. Is there a better quality there versus one or the other?
They provide the same protection. For example, most of our playgrounds require a 12-inch depth of EWF to provide the protection of the appropriate fall height. The rubber chip requires a little bit less material, but the cost is far greater than the engineered wood fiber.
It would also be more expensive to replace when it gets washed away or the wind blows it or it needs to be resurfaced.
Correct. I don't have any good case studies to tell you how long the rubber chip would last. Our little case study is only a month old. On the engineered wood fiber, it requires maintenance every year, and probably every other season we're adding material back to maintain the appropriate depth. And as a side note, for example, in the end of 2019, we did have a third party conduct a surface impact test of all of our surfaces to make sure that we were meeting the required impact ratings for safety, and we've passed those.
Any more questions?
Mr. Mayor, I motion that we accept the quote from Miracle Recreation in the amount of $16,288 for the new swing set and installation for Village Neighborhood Park.
Second.
Mr. Mayor? I'd just like to make a statement if I can.
Yes, sir.
So I love what you've done here. Obviously, I was asking you about the difference in price. And we have a few people in the audience that had talked about the golf course, and we talked a lot about, money differences in the golf course and that kind of thing. So I find it hard for myself to say, oh, let's just spend this extra $4,000 because it looks a little better. But the safety's the same, the swing's the same. It's just the frame is a little different. It's $4,000 more. So, I mean, maybe I'm by myself and that's fine, but I'm gonna vote against this for that reason. So I just want to put that out there.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay. Motion carries 4-2.
You've done an exceptional job in this. It has nothing to do with you.
No, I understand.
Okay.
We figured lots of questions about that will be coming.
All right. You always do an exceptional job, by the way.
All right, on to the Andover Municipal Golf Course 12-1. Jenny will introduce the items and then introduce our guest.
Yes, sir. This is a pretty long-awaited item, I would say. In the time I've been here, this is quite possibly the topic that the governing body has receive the most public input and feedback on in which to make your decision. So that was alluded to earlier in the public forum. You'll recall we had a meeting on December 9th to get input from the public. Every one of you, even if you weren't on the council at the time, was at that meeting and heard that feedback firsthand. We've done an online survey, and what we came out of that was there was an overwhelming desire, specifically by those that lived the closest to the course, to remain a golf course. Before you tonight is a operator agreement with Oaks Golf Course, and you will have a presentation here in just a moment. This is something that staff has been working with the gentleman at Oaks for some time on, and we believe this is a good recommendation. This is a strong proposal for us to give our very best at leaving the golf course as a golf course for a term of 3 years. And my hope would be that it goes very well and that the subsidy can maybe reduce or stay the same, but that it would be able to become a sustainable golf course. I do want to make clear note that we are going to be getting data through this process. That is one of the great values that the gentlemen from Oaks provide us, and that 18 to 24 months into this agreement, we will be looking very closely at where our next steps are, both the gentlemen at Oaks, if they are feeling like this is a beneficial endeavor for them, if it's something that we can continue down this road, or if changes are needed, and then we will have much richer data than we were able to provide you in the last quarter in which to make your decisions. Unless you have questions of me or your staff, I would turn it over to the gentleman from Oaks.
Go time?
Yep.
That's your signal, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. So, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And this is Dick Stunts, by the way, right?
That is correct.
All right.
Dick Stunts from Lawrence, Kansas. I'm the founder, owner, and president of Oaks Golf, LLC. My company was founded, have we got there we go. The company was founded in 1997. The original name of the company, original corporate formation was Oak Golf Inc. And so if you're the type to like go on the state website and find out whether or not I'm telling you the truth about my company, you'll find that in 1997 it was started as Oak Golf Inc. In 2015, due to the tax laws in Kansas, I made the change to take advantage of those tax laws. Our website is oaksgolf.net. I would encourage any or all that are interested in finding out more about Oaks Golf to get on the website. We've got a lot of information on there about my company. I also have here tonight Randy Hunt. Randy Hunt is my associate and property manager, and he is my full partner on this project here in Andover. And he will be the primary property manager for, again, here in Andover. Moving on, just a little bit about me. I'm not going to read every line item that we put on here. Again, this is all on the web page, should you like to kind of do your research. But I noticed we put my high school graduation date on there, so if you're quick with the math, you can figure out how old I am. I do have a bachelor's degree in agronomy with a turf grass management emphasis from Iowa State. And so in my college years, I intended to be in the golf business, and again, got my education in agronomy. And as you'll see through my resume there, that early on in my career, I was a golf course superintendent at different locations. Kind of going in reverse chronological order there, you'll see that I was the president of Albemarle Incorporated. Many of you are probably familiar with Albemarle. You can also see that I spent 29 years as an employee of Albemarle. First, in the capacity, it says Vice President of Golf Course Facilities, which is a fancy name for a golf course superintendent, and then as President and General Manager of the operation. Just moving on, you can see that my credentials and my my experience in the golf industry has a lot to do with the agronomics. Now, I'll point out that the second one down there is the member of the Board of Directors of the National Golf Course Owners Association. And I'm just coming off of my 2 years as president of that association. And the National Golf Course Owners Association is dedicated to the business of golf. Unlike the PGA, the Golf Course Superintendent Association, or the National Club Owners Association, We are dedicated to the business of golf, and we service golf course owners and operators. So going down through there, you can see the Golf Digest, Leadership Lawrence, et cetera, et cetera. We'll kind of fire through this so we don't no one infer that you can't read. The president and owner there the president and co-owner of H&S Enterprises does stand for Hunt and Stunts, and you're going to be hearing from Randy Hunt here shortly. The University of Kansas, that's a little bit of turf grass consulting, et cetera, and down through that. I did play golf in college. I was a letterman at Iowa State University, and as you look at the credentials there, most of those are quite a ways in my rear view mirror. However, what the heck, right? This, again, comes from the web page, so if you're interested in the different services that we offer as Oaks Golf, it's kind of a wide variety. As you can see, it is either turf grass oriented or it is golf oriented. Properties over the years that have been in existence, there's approximately 17 properties I've been involved with throughout Kansas and Missouri. I'll show you a map here in a minute. Oaks Golf currently manages the Dodge City Country Club, the Emporia Country Club, Maryville Country Club in Maryville, Missouri, and the Park Hills Country Club in Pratt, Kansas. And that's just a map to kind of show you where the locations are, not only of those properties that Oaks Golf currently manages, but also properties that I've been involved with over the years, whether it be from management, leasing, consulting, or ownership. With that, I would like to ask my associate and partner, Randy Hunt, to come to the podium and introduce himself and talk a little bit about our plans that we have for the Andover Municipal Golf Course.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here tonight and to try to talk a little bit about myself, for crying out loud. I too am not going to read through what happened. I can tell you that some 5 decades ago, my first opportunity of employment after graduating from college was as an assistant golf professional in the Denver area. I got to work 6 months and then got laid off. And my bride and I went to her and I said, look, I'm going to give this 5 years. And then at the end of 5 years, if this isn't what we thought it was going to be, then I'm going to transition into something different. But hang with me for 5 years. Well, that's been 48 years ago. My entire career has been spent in the golf industry at properties that include municipal properties, member-owned country clubs. I've worked for a management company that owns 120-some courses or operates some 120 courses across the world now. And so my career has taken me to different places, but it's always been in the game of golf. So I've committed myself to the game. I've made my livelihood through the game. And so our credentials, what I do is kind of the inside, if you will, and what Dick has specialized in is the outside. And the communication and the working together between the two sides, he maintains hundreds of acres in a condition that people want to enjoy. I create atmospheres that people want to be around. But between the two of us, it's one complete unit. And then you combine what we do as individuals specifically with the people that either own the property or members of the property. And so golf has been known as the game of a lifetime, and it truly is. You can find it, some of the most beautiful scenery and some of the most environmentally sound practices are done on golf courses across the world. You can also find them on 9-hole courses like we have here in Andover. And our vision for Andover, to me, is nothing but optimism. The golf industry, like many industries, has its ups and downs. It's not always trending up. And so recently the golf industry has had many challenges. But I'm here to tell you that timing is everything. And the golf course that we have here in Andover is the perfect place at the perfect time. And by that I mean it's 9 holes, it's executive length. You heard one of the patrons earlier to describe the easiness to walk, how friendly it is to play on, and this is where we start introducing people to the game of golf. We will create a community atmosphere, and it's going to be more than golf. There are alternative methods or alternative uses for golf properties right now. There's a thing called foot golf. There's a thing called disc golf. There's no reason that we won't be looking to try to expand what we do. It's more than a golf course. It could be a bouncy house on the 4th of July for the kids. It might be hosting the cornhole tournament sometime. I don't know how much space you need, but how many acres do we have, Dick? 57, 60? We got so, but perhaps someday that can happen. The programming from a golf perspective, we're going to focus on the juniors and the seniors and the couples and the men and the women. The intent is to hire a PGA professional. I'm a member of the Professional Golfers Association of America, and the hope is that we can attract someone of that caliber to also run the property with us. Those would be the ones that will be actually, you'll see on a day-to-day basis, and will be given these instructions and doing the programming. But absent that, there are many golf professionals in our community right now. There are probably some 350 across the state. I promise you, we will get professional instruction, professional programming there at the property. So I'll open it to questions for Mr. Stuntz or myself. We are very excited for the opportunity and of working with the community to make golf and make the Andover Municipal Golf Course the best that can be. And thank you for your time.
One quick thing that I forgot to mention is when we displayed some interest in the property and got in contact with the city and started to negotiate with them the possibility of us getting involved. I just want to compliment Mayor Price and the commissioners that came to a couple of our work sessions, Jennifer and her staff that came and worked with us. And while there wasn't any doubt in my mind that the people that we are working with were protecting the interests of Andover, Kansas, that's their job, but coming out of these negotiations, I certainly feel like we have a partner in the city and not just someone across the table. So much appreciated. Things went very well to this point in time. Thank you.
So have you had any instances where you didn't succeed for one reason or another, and what might that have been?
I'm going to tell you that in my career as a manager, as an operator, as an owner, as a leaser, I'm going to say no. I haven't had one that has financially failed or in that case. I've had a couple of consulting gigs that didn't go as well as I had hoped they would, but control was an issue in those cases. So,
if I might.
Sure.
Mr. Stuntz and I owned a golf course and leased another golf course in the late 90s, mid-90s, all the way up through about 2008. Why don't we have that business now? 2001, there was a historic event in New York City that caused the entire economy to go like this. 2008, there was something to do in the banking industry or the housing market that caused the entire economy to go like this. Those are two instances that created very, very, very difficult times for recreation, for all industries and all businesses, but especially the golf business. So why don't we have those properties now? It just became fiscally responsible for us to close that business, simply because we got caught up in some of the times that weren't favorable to what we were doing. It wasn't for lack of effort, it was one of those things. But we're still here, and we're still doing it.
Do we know what kind of fees or memberships are going to be offered yet, or is that too soon?
Well,
comparable to what we've come to expect,
I'm
I
going to
guess.
say that they're going to be comparable to what you've seen in the past. We have the records from Chad, the previous operator, who's been very cooperative with us, and also shared this information with city staff as we've discussed these things. So to use your term, absolutely, it'll be very, very similar to what you've been experiencing previously.
Thank you.
How many members do you expect for a course this size and with a city our size? How many would you like?
As many as we could possibly take.
To be able to run,
Thank
to be
you.
able
Thank
to,
you
ru-
for
to
putting
be
it
able
that
to
way.
run it successfully.
Yeah, we would, I've worked at facilities where it's standing room only to get a tee time. We've had so many players on the golf course that we initiated things to try to put as many players as humanly possible on the golf course. And we were successful at doing that. I hope we get that opportunity here. We will take as many members as we can possibly get. We want activity. We want people on the property. Because the best marketing tool that any of us have is word of mouth. And when we can create the atmosphere that we're going to create, we believe people are going to want to come there. You may stop in for a cup of coffee. You may stop in just to say how it's going. You may stop in to throw a disc someday at a disc basket. You may stop in for the cornhole tournament, but we want you to stop in. The location is phenomenal. The property is perfect, in my view, and we're hopeful that we're going to fill it up.
So as far as the golf course itself, are you going to make any wholesale changes other than you like it the way it is, or are you going to have to change things to make it more suitable for an audience, or where are we at on that?
Are you talking about the physical property itself, changes to the property?
Simply have not had enough time to look it over, Mayor, to know whether or not any changes. As we evaluate, as we watch the plays, we get to know the property a little bit, then there might be, if we find there's things about it that either condition-wise need to be improved, or whether or not there just needs to be some changes to make it more playable and more accessible or whatever. But it's too early for us to have any specific items for you.
Of the, I believe it was 4 other country clubs, how many, or how long have you been at those country clubs here in Kansas? Or in the region?
This is my 7th year at Maryville Country Club. We're just a little over, right at 1 year with Emporia Country Club. In Park Hills and Pratt, I started in 2014, so 6 years there. Started with a consulting in an agronomic and now in a full management. Dodge City Country Club is, I think 15 months into that property.
And are those 9-hole courses or 18-hole courses?
Dodge City is 18, the other 3 are 9. 2 of them are member-owned private clubs, and then, no, 3 of them are member-owned private clubs, and then Park Hills is owned by 2 investors.
Thank you.
How many members do you have at those clubs?
It ranges, the upper end, I think real fast here, the upper end would be somewhere, Emporia, Randy? 185 memberships at Emporia, that would be the largest one. Dodge City's about the same. Maryville, we're at about 200 and about 202 at Maryville, and Park Hills we're at about 175.
Well, we have about 80 people who live around the course, so hopefully that's a good start.
It's a good start.
But you do believe you're going to have success in attracting non-golfers. You kind of mentioned some other things that you may have ideas for. Have you had success in that with people who aren't necessarily traditional golfers partaking?
At the other properties that we run, for example, there's other amenities on the property that attracts membership to it. We're going to have to create those amenities. We do have some limitations at the Andover Municipal Golf Course. One, for example, we don't have a driving range so that people can come out and practice. But there are things that you can do to simulate practice, not hitting full shots. So yes, I envision trying to do other things. Now, always safety first when you're talking about golf. So if we're trying to mix golfers with non-golfers, the non-golfer activity may be in a confined area and not where the golf balls are going to be flying around. Does anybody here in the room play golf? And does the golf ball always go where you want it to go?
Yes. Normally.
Yeah, well, but occasionally. So, yes, we're going to try to promote as much activity as we possibly can. Golf and non-golf. I mean, it's known as a golf course, but it's a community gathering place, and that's what we want it to be.
Any more questions?
Oh, well, I got one last one here. Since we spent too much money on our kids for the playground, can you do a $4,000 deduct? Oh my God.
If you'll move the swing set out to the golf course and we can charge for it, we can talk about it.
There you go.
Tried. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd move that we approve the agreement for management of the Andover Municipal Golf Course with Oaks Golf Course LLC as recommended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? A motion carries 6-0. And I want to echo what the gentleman said, and that the staff worked very hard to bring this together, and I'm very proud of the work you've done. And I thank you, gentlemen, for coming here tonight.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a point to, not to you guys, but to those that are in the community that's had to sit through the process of this. And I know being scared of what might happen is a scary thing, but we appreciate you bearing with us as we went through the process. I think we did it the right way. Might have seemed long and tedious, or maybe you didn't have all the information that you needed at the time you needed it. But I do appreciate, especially really Ken, when he had pointed out that he'd been to the meetings and he saw what we did, and I think he thinks that we did it the right way too, and that it's always hard when you're on our side because there's no guideline or path that you can just follow step by step to go through stuff like this. We're kind of going in the way that we think is the right way, and so that's what we did. And we do appreciate your patience on this. It was hard for you, it was hard for us too, and I'm glad where we're at today.
I also want to say one thing, that I really do hope that the people in the community, and especially Green Valley, support the golf course. We're going from 30 members to hopefully 185 plus. I mean, every one of you who came and supported it and you want it, and I hope you really do stand up and do support it.
So it's going to be 60 degrees this weekend. Is the course going to be open because there's 4
You'll have to ask the operators at that point in time. We don't start till March 1. Just leave your greens fee in a box there. Hey, I'd just like to thank Mayor Price and the entire commissioner, Jennifer and her staff. Working's been a pleasure. We look forward to the next 3 years. Thank you for your confidence. We won't let you down.
I do have confidence in you, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I also want to... I also want to note that it was the council before us and mayor before us as well that started us on this path. And so thanks to them for leading us to this point and kind of showing us the way. And Jennifer, thanks to you and Lance and you guys, the staff that made this happen. And so, you know, it's kind of a easy process right now, but
It was nice to say.
you know, they did a lot of work as well. So
Absolutely.
thank you guys, and make sure you guys keep up the membership.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, 13.1, board appointments. On tonight's agenda are 2 additional mayoral appointments. Are there any questions about these appointments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move that we appoint Vu Nguyen to Site Plan Review Committee and Dr. Matt Howell to the Health Board, Both of these terms expire in 2021 as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Motion carries. Thank you, Troy and Homer, 6-0. Member items. It's time for member items. Let's start at my left. Homer, any items?
I don't have anything. I've said what I have to say.
I want to thank staff for having a really nice employee appreciation night the other night, and sorry that Chief Russell's not here to talk, so we can talk about some of the things that, you know. But that was fun. So Susan, I think you had a big part of putting on that show, so thank you very much.
Video that too, I assume, right?
I have no items.
I know that there's not enough people here to satisfy me to say this, but every day I've become more and more thankful for our police department and our fire department. They do things that go completely unnoticed, and I just want you to pass it on to all of them that I don't sleep well when y'all don't sleep well. You know, when you're having trouble, I'm having trouble, and your mayor will always stand behind you and stand for you and keep you in my prayers, and want your safe home to your families all the time. So I just want to make sure that you tell your friends and your coworkers and everyone else that I'm very proud of what they do, and I'll always be thinking about them in my waking hours, and before I sleep at night, I'll be thinking of y'all. All right. Thank you, Buck.
It's hard to follow that up. We can get you a scanner, though, so you can be aware of everything that's going.
My wife mentioned that this morning.
That'd be a good idea. I do have a couple things. So we're liaisons for a few committees, and I've had the opportunity to attend a few things. So WAMPO is our regional entity that helps with state or federal funded road projects, and I was elected to the technical advisory committee as the chairman of that today. So that was interesting. Not exactly sure how that's going to go, but
congratulations.
Yeah, I'm the chairman of the committee.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And they laughed at me after they nominated me, so I don't know how to take that yet. It was interesting. No, it's good. I've been studying with WAMPO, or been a part of WAMPO for several years now. There's a lot of stuff a lot of things to learn about the process, about how the federal dollars fall down or go down to the state and then to us. Actually, the expert on all of it is Les, who's right here, and I hope he stays with me for the entire time I'm on this. I don't know if you've been on the TAC committee. I think you were. Very good. So I got an expert with me all the time. But I'm very humbled that they look to me to be on that, and I'll do the very best I can for the city because I represent us as well as the board that I'm going to be on. Also, I actually missed the city event Saturday night because I was at Tri-County CASA board, our annual fundraiser. So I'm upset that I missed it. I went to the Mosley Strip Melodrama before, and that was the coolest thing I've been to. So I was pretty upset that I missed the whole thing. But the CASA event is very important. Does a lot of things for our kids, and I was happy to be able to be there and be a part of that and help them and know that next year I'll be going out into the community and the businesses and trying to drum up additional donations for things, and I'll bring that up then. Coming up would be the Senior Center lunch is February the 19th. It's their Monterey lunch. It's at 11 a.m. I'm also on liaison for the Senior Center. So it's a big deal. It's really good. And I got to be honest with you, when you're in a room with a lot of people that are retired or older that are there, it's great for them to have interaction from other people in the public, to just go and be there and talk to them and sit with them. It's very meaningful because they don't get that as much as they probably should anymore, if that makes sense.
What day was that?
That's February the 19th. And moving on to the chamber, the cornhole tournament is on May 8th, and it sounds like it's the 13th Street. And I'll tell you, last year, I believe the previous mayor's team won, so now you have to win this one to keep that trend going. Let's throw that out there. Two more quick things. I'm also a member of REAP. I've never been to the REAP board before. I know that Greg was mentioning that he's been on there, so I look forward to that as well. It sounds like it's a neat board that community of leaders in different cities and counties get together and try to make their cities and counties better by talking it out, I guess. So I don't know. I haven't been there yet. And then the last thing is I was able to go up to the state and offer up words for the city, for all cities really in Kansas, regarding potential changes to the tax code, I guess, or how they're going to force us to potentially change the way we do or do taxes. It's kind of complex. I would be happy to spend 15 minutes to go into it with you, but I'm not going to do that tonight. But I will say that's only one of many things that are going on right now in the State House that are looking to change the way taxes are done within cities, not even just cities, but any group that takes tax funding. Also, annexation is another one, and I think it might be smart for us to get together, maybe, and have an expert come and talk to us about what is going on and what kind of things. Bless you.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's fine. Things that are going on, maybe Trey or someone from the KLM or someone else that can give us really good information about what's happening, because it's going to affect us. It's going to affect our budgets. It's going to affect the way that we manage our cities, and that's what we do for our job here, right? So it'd be smart to have somebody keep us apprised of what all is going on, and it would be nice to have it in a public setting, either here at the workshop, in a way that the public is aware of what's going on as well. If we can make that happen, that would be great pretty soon, because they're talking about it right now, and they're going to be voting on things soon. And my little voice was fine, although Chief, he was amazing, so it was really nice to listen to him. I got up there a little nervous and gave my speech, but he was on point. It was nice. I did talk to the committee afterwards about what they're trying to change tax-wise, and it's real easy for us to say, hey, stay out of our city because you're the state, and you always ask the federal government to stay out of your business. But I got to tell you, they're adamant, and they're really looking for ways to force cities in some method or way to lower their taxes. They have lobbyists on both sides, but more so on that side that are in their ear every day, and it's going to happen. So instead of us saying, don't do this to us, or you're just ruining the way we're doing, or you have no idea what you're thinking, that doesn't work. They don't listen to that. Instead, it's a reality that they're moving in that direction somehow, and it would be better for us to perhaps come up with a way to shape their thinking. Let them know that we're still with them and trying to save and on taxes for our constituents, which we always are. But I think that it might be good to have a voice that's uniform and that changes the shape of what they're doing. I won't even get into it right now, but that's what I think is very important. I can't stress the importance of it enough. And if we can get Trey or someone to really, or a feed to us, perhaps it's better than what I've seen.
Historically, the league has done weekly or biweekly phone calls with legislative updates, and that is probably going to be our most effective way to communicate with them. As you know, you saw what happened on Friday, and you heard all the emails going back and forth last week. They moved the hearing, and the hearing's up a day, it's back 2 days, it's up an hour, it's back a half hour. Oh, there's another meeting coming in, so we're done in 1 hour. I mean, It's very fluid in the state capitol. And so for them to leave Topeka and come to us is going to probably be kind of disruptive to the work they do. But I think we could schedule, if they're doing their regular phone calls, I can absolutely get you all information, and basically you call in and they give an update and you can hear what's going on that week in the State House. Or we could perhaps get like a conference call scheduled during a workshop or something like that for an update. But just the fluid nature of it does make that a little bit
Because of the
difficult.
timing of that, where it could be any time during the day that call could happen, and it's hard to get us all together.
Mhm.
It could even be yourself or someone in staff or whatever would either just read and more create an overview for what's going on and when it's happening, and for our meetings, for our monthly meetings here.
You can do that, can't you?
I can, and I enjoy it. But what I don't want to have happen is I'm biased in my own opinion on the way taxes should work, et cetera. So I don't mind, and I'll do my best, I guess, if I do it to not be biased in that, the way that I talk about it. But I would rather have, or in addition, I would like to have somebody else with
And
me.
I would encourage those citizens who are biased that they enjoy the city they live in to send letters to senators, because I think that's okay. I think it is okay, and I think it would be wonderful for citizens, not paid officials in any way, whether it's a meager stipend or a salary, but for citizens to write their senators either via email or letter writing, and we can certainly help you with that contact information to let them know if they're pleased with the work that you all are doing with the property taxes you all collect, because to me that was the message that needed to be delivered, and it needs to be delivered by taxpayers who are not being paid in any way, shape, or form to share that message.
Yeah, it was very one-sided too, because there's several lobbyists that are, on the other side, I guess, of that. I'll tell you just real quick. I spoke with someone today about the same issue with the taxation, and they had mentioned that it's already changing somewhat to maybe being locking in the tax rate for individual homes until it's either sold or there's been some addition added to it. So it's pretty dramatically different than what they've already shown or talked about. And I was talking to Kelly Arnold about that, who has the ear of everyone up there. So a lot going on. That's all I got.
No items. I forgot what I was going to say, so,
So sorry.
I have nothing to say.
I'm so sorry.
Is it something we could get I don't know, maybe a generic type letter that we can get to people that aren't able to or aren't articulate enough to
I believe we can come up with something, yes, Mr. Mayor.
Because I got a handful of people who would probably be tickled to death to be an irritant and, do that very thing, so. And I want to thank
On that
Jenny
note-
and Troy and Chad. You wait your turn, young
Yeah, I
man.
am. Apologize.
Well, I want to thank Jenny and Chief Chad and Troy for going up there, because it does mean a lot for our community, and they're capable of doing things that making statements in sense that I'm not able to, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Get a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Everybody wants to stay here.
Just drew a blank, man. Motion carries. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries 6-0, and I appreciate y'all's patience, and I will get better at this.